Hi, welcome back. I'm Michelle Carolla, Realtor here in Madison, Wisconsin with the Sprinkman Real Estate Group and Living a Midwest Life. I am so excited today. My guest is Paul Simon with Michael F. Simon Builders here in the Madison area, talking about custom building. Welcome to the channel, Paul.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So first off, let's just tell everyone who Michael F. Simon is. It is a long-standing history in the area. Talk a little bit about the company.
Sure. So we are a 130-year-old company. I'm fourth generation builder. We've been around, we've done quite a bit. We do building and remodeling, quite a bit of remodeling as well. And the new construction, we're here in a very big, nice new home. It's in the framing stage. We're probably 10 months from completion, but it's phenomenal views and glad to talk about this.
Oh my goodness. Well, first off, a lot of us are sort of obsessed with the home channels, whether it be remodeling or whether it be building and all of the things that we watch the endless amount of hours of shows.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think we're the only ones, of course, but the idea of custom building can be a little scary for some people, right? The idea might be a little overwhelming, or where do you even start, right? So let's start with the very beginning. This is going to be a two-parter, so be sure to watch out for the second video. You can hit the like button for a notification. You'll know when that comes out. So starting today, we're going all the way back to the beginning, right? What is step one if someone is out there thinking, I really think I want to do my own thing? Well, how do they start?
So usually people will give us a call and they'll say, we want to build a new home, and that's as far of a plan as we have. Maybe they'll have some pictures, some ideas, some drawings. A lot of times people share their Pinterest board with us or their house account, and we basically take it from there. And we sit down with them and we look at, what do you like? What don't you like? How do you live in the home? How big, how small? Everybody's different. And so we like to design it for the people themselves. We don't have a plan book that we say, okay, why don't we look through this and what fits you? We go the other way of, how will you be using your home, and let's design something around that.
So it's about functionality, not just the overall aesthetic, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
So we'll sit down and we'll ask them kind of it's called our fun homework. It's a questionnaire that basically asks them what their expectations are for home, what they want to do. And it's trying to get as much out of their head onto paper for us as we can get. And then we basically start from scratch and we design that. We have in-house design, or we work with outside architects as well. And basically just take it step by step, initial sketches, bubble diagrams, things like that. And then we get into the more detail and the finishes, the colors, how you want it to look from the outside.
So right there, breaking it down into that level, first off, you have to sort of come with an idea of what you might like, maybe, right?
Yep.
Even just the slightest idea.
Yep.
But as he's saying, breaking it down into, how your family lives, how your family wants to live on a daily basis, and looking at that sort of long-term functionality idea is primarily that step one, right?
Yep.
So once you have that fun homework done and it's sort of sketched out a little bit, and maybe it's moved over to some renderings at that point, where do we go from there? What are the next steps?
Well, so before we can actually get into renderings and the actual floor plans, we need to have a lot.
Yes, you need a lot.
Before we get to lot, we talk about budget. So it doesn't do any good to design a home and have this awesome lot if it doesn't fit the overall budget. And everyone has one, so we talk about that as well up front.
Okay.
We try to design to that budget, and then we work the lot and the landscaping and everything into it as one package. So if someone says, this is our budget, we can't design a home that's 10,000 square feet if their budget is going to fit a 5,000 square foot home. So things kind of have to align like that. So that's kind of the initial first step, is all of that information. And then once we do have a lot, then we can start laying that out. How does it fit on the lot? Do they have exposure? Do we have a walkout? Is it a two-story, single-story? What is it? Okay,
so let's break that out just a little bit more about budget. So most of the time when you hear custom, when you hear anything with the word custom, whether you're talking about shoes, a jacket, or a house, it might denote a little more expensive, right? And that can somewhat be the case because you literally are building to your specifications. But it doesn't necessarily mean cost prohibitive, right?
Definitely not. So It's usually a different process. The custom home building from, let's say, your production builder or your semi-production builder. With semi-production or production, you're going to be picking from a list of options. Here are your choices for different things. With custom, it's completely different. We're going to have weekly meetings on site. This homeowner, we're meeting weekly. We're looking at what we got done here, talking about, well, we can do it this way or this way. It doesn't matter to us, but how are you going to use the home? How's it going to function for you a year from now? And then they're basically helping us as we're building it. So it takes longer with those steps, those weekly meetings, different things like that.
Okay, but then once you have that idea of budget that you know you're coming to the table with, and then you are actually formulating the project around a particular budget, and you're sitting there, okay, this is the idea that we want, this is how much we want to spend, now we need to go find the lot. Do you assist with lot finding, like locating lots, or do they need to primarily know where they want to be and come to you with a lot?
We have a few of our own lots in certain areas that are a little bit nicer that we pick up so that we can build the home on that lot. That's the case for this home right here.
Okay.
Otherwise, we work with professionals like you who we say, here's our client, here's what we're looking for, here's our budget, and then you do your magic, help them, work with them, try to find that lot, and then we come back and we start that design process with them at that point.
Okay, so not unlike just a general process of finding, where's the area that you want to be? Is there a particular part of that area that you want to be, whether it's school district, whether it's location, whether it's proximity to a particular facility or a lake or whatever it might be, right? And once that's finalized, and once you have your budget, then where do we go from there?
So that's when we sit down and we will work through the design. We'll get everything the way you want it. And when the design is done, then we'll send it out to bid or pricing. And that's where we have multiple plumbers, electricians, concrete companies, all of those different people involved. We'll have multiple people price it out. Who's available? That's a big thing right now is there's so much going on that who's actually available to do the work. And then what is their pricing? We want to make sure that we're not just blowing things out of the water by using people who are really busy and their price goes up. So we're doing that shopping up front to try to get things to come in on budget. And then at that point, we're going through and putting together a fixed cost contract, very detailed, and it spells out every single thing, the make, the model, brand of windows, what the glazing is, all of that stuff.
Okay, and that right there is super important. So yes, you will have a very specified contract, and you'll step them through step by step by step and line item by line item, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right, so that is, once that's buttoned up and once you're under contract, where do we go from there?
Then it is finalizing selections.
Okay.
I call it the paperwork portion. So it's usually maybe 1 to 3 months where we're making selections, we're getting permits, the zoning, the building permits, things like that, lining up concrete excavation because they're usually a couple months out. And we have the homeowner working on selections. So
which is the fun part, by the way.
It is. We'll start with the long lead time items. So we'll be focusing on exterior colors and windows to start with. And then we'll move on to things like fireplaces. There's so many decisions that have to be made. We don't want to overwhelm people.
Okay.
So we kind of do it in bite-sized pieces. Don't worry about the light fixtures and the colors, the closet shelving yet. That'll be down the road. Let's worry about the things that are going to take us 6-8 months to get.
Okay. That's actually a really good point because, all right, like we said in the very beginning, maybe the idea of a custom build is a little overwhelming, but when you have someone guiding you through the steps, which they've done, let's just say countless times since 1893, I believe?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, so that's a few times here and there. But once you have those steps isolated for everyone, then you're basically just following their lead. They're there to tell you, okay, right now we need to choose these items, and then the next set of items, and the next set of items. And like you said, you've got it spaced out to where they're coming in on time for the build process, but it's also not so much all at once.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
We spread it out. And that's another difference between production or track builders and custom is that we do a lot of those selections as we're building the home because it takes so long. So we're able to, like this home we're in framing right now, but they're still making a lot of those selections. They're working with an interior designer. that makes it quite a bit easier as well, not so overwhelming.
To bring in a professional,
Definitely.
yeah. Because I mean, we all sort of think we're a designer now because we watch so much of that programming, but we're not. And there are videos on Living in Midwest Life talking about working with a professional designer. You can search for that as well. And there are many benefits of that, right? Because they are taking a lot of the unknown away, which all in all just makes it simpler.
I would say using an interior designer makes the client's life easier. It makes the builder's life easier, and it saves a lot of time especially on the homeowner side. So probably 4 hours of a homeowner making selections can be taken out and kind of trimmed down to about 1 hour with an interior designer. It's a lot more efficient. They know exactly what goes with what complements different things, and they can kind of take that lead as well.
And they know what they're looking for. They've already had their consultation with you. They know your design aesthetics, and they know where to find all of that and then aggregate it into one spot for just the homeowner to look at and then pick and choose at that point.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that, I believe, would get us to the build phase, right?
It does.
Okay, so that's going to end our first part today. You will want to come back for part 2. We're going to talk about all of the remaining aspects, which is the build and which is getting into the key and turning the key in the front door, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Thanks so much for watching. As always, you can subscribe to our channel, hit the like button for notifications, and we love new subscribers. New videos out every week, Friday at 4. We'll see you next time.
Bye.